Crushed every, like, avoided encountered? What the fuck? I'm just mystified. That's awesome. I think this could have been a 5-2 if it had actually played, like, real back row, which is concerning. Did you, like, do this as, like, some kind of masochistic challenge? Or, I need to know, like...
It's me, Primary Artemis. I went 4-3 in the first Firestorm Premier of Elestrals. Yes, for a bit of masochistic tendency, but also to prove a point about core deck building principles. So let's talk about the theory behind the deck and why it proves you should just listen to Trish's advice when he's crashing out about deck building for 6 hours on Caster's Corner. Now for some honest context. I am an Elestrals academic. I've got Elestrals DB installed into my head, but I am a mid player. After a few rounds of play, I can easily get lost in the sauce and just kind of slip my way into losses from misplays. But despite that, I still managed to go 4-3 and 4-3 handily. 2 of those losses were to spirit counts in time when I had plenty of fuel to potentially keep going. This just proves that if even I, as a mid player, can apply these basic principles and go 4-3 handily, just how right they are. So let's start digging into it. I would like to present to you the Triangle of Elestrals deck building. Your deck needs to do 3 things. It needs to get cards in hand and on field. It needs to keep your spirits usable, and it needs to stick bodies. And it needs to do these 3 things better than your opponent while also countering your opponent's attempt to do so. My mono earth deck only really has 2 good Elestrals in it. Equilinx and Viscerus. But each one of my cards contributes to one of these 3 things. If you have a deck that is focused on every card moving you towards one of these goals, you will instantly be far and ahead of many opponents you meet in a tournament. So let's break down the cards in the deck and where they fit. I present to you Rummagen, Sproutier, and Panzer. All 3 of these cards are part of my engine that gets cards into my hand. Very much a bargain bin ass rabbit in the mono earth world, but they still do the job. Behold, Bandison and Cyprong. These cards are bodies that help me make sure my spirits stay usable. A bit of a bargain bin Ambro, and you'll see there's no Ambro in my list because I was desperate for decent bodies in mono earth. But on average, they healed me at least as well as Ambro did. And of course, we can't forget the murder buddies. We have Mudlet, Viscerus, Chrysbor, Tectaris, and Equilinx. All cards that are decent bodies that stick and are very good at taking down opponent Elestrals. In fact, Viscerus is a body that goes and gets you new bodies to stick and kill things with. And we got, runes. Not much explanation here. I mean, the science behind runes is pretty well understood at this point. Get some Gorgons, get some shields, buff your guys with some Demeters and some Stadiums. Pretty standard stuff here. I cannot overemphasize enough that besides Viscerus and Equilinx, all of these Earth cards are bad versions of these effects. And I still went 4-3 handedly. The simple truth in Elestrals is if you keep drawing cards every turn that do one of these things in the triangle, you're probably going to win the game. Because you're just going to keep progressing the game state for yourself, and your opponent, if they didn't do this, is eventually going to run out of cards. And if they did do this, congratulations! You get to play a fun game of strategy in Elestrals instead of just walking over someone by outlasting them. Now you might be thinking, whoa. Ostensibly, doesn't every card in Elestrals do one of these 3 things? No, they do not. At least not objectively well. Let's look at a card I personally love, which you should not be putting in your deck. Even though I do it because I love the card. Tsunami High Tide. The first thing you might think is, well, come on now, Artemis. Get a chance of spirit to your field. One of your tenants is keeping spirits usable. It does that at the cost of 1 spirit still. You pay 2 for this rune and then you get to put 1 on the field. That's still -1. You might also argue, hey, this is just Eddie on an invoke rune. Come on now, it gets rid of your opponent's sticking buddies. It does as a 2-card combo that costs 3 spirits, because you gotta do High Tide, and then you still have to have the body to walk over the thing you put in defense position. Champion Galaxy and Eddie do that for free. If you top deck High Tide in a late game state, it's not going to do anything if you don't have a body on the field that can walk over the thing you put in defense position. And you might also be saying, Joblin exists. I will simply play Joblin and draw cards off of putting things in defense position. There are so many other 2-card combos that you could do with an Ascension Elestral that will do so much more for your game state than Joblin draw a card off of High Tide. You should just play Nog if that's really what you want to do. And I don't even think you should play Nog. Instead of playing a card like High Tide that maybe kills an opponent's Celestial, maybe lets you draw a card, maybe lets you enchant to a field. If you really want to do one of those 3 things, you should just play a card that does one of those 3 things really well all the time. And then you don't draw High Tide and go, dang, I can't do anything with that right now. Wish this was literally anything else. Alright, now let's step back and do some practical application. Let's look at this Mono Earth deck and remove the Mono Earth restriction. Let's start off by looking at some of the cards in my add card engine. 2 Sprout here, 2 Panzer. Not the best cards in the world for being your add card engine. We should literally just replace these 4 with 3 Astrabbit. Astrabbit is going to be a better body on average, and it's going to give us a better card on average, because we get to choose the best of 3 cards. That's going to leave us a new spot in the deck to put something different in. We'll save these for later. Now, looking at the heal engine, we've got the 3 Cyprong and the 2 Pandison. We're going to get rid of all 5 of these for 3 Ambro. It took 5 cards to be able to heal as well as Ambro on average. Now this is going to make a Skylight, obviously, but we're accumulating these extra spots we can fill in at the end. Now, looking at cards that are bodies for removal's sake, 3 Mudlet, just Champ Galaxy. Champ Galaxy is going to be better in essentially every game state. Just easy 1-to-1 replacement. We're also now not on Earth Body Pile anymore. Without Earth Body Pile, we're never going to be able to ascend to Kreisbohr reliably, so this guy goes. Feloy Forest isn't going to add as much value anymore. These can go. And obviously Tectaris also relies on Earth Pile, so this can go. We're now really light on guys, but we have a bunch of empty slots. So let's start figuring out what we're going to put in some of those spots. Let's start with the big bad of Firestorm, Leica Void. We'll go ahead and put 3-pup, our Leica, and our Full Moon in here to be able to go off with that. We're on Lunar now, and we need some new good bodies to stick. Spectaris is going to synergize with the Lunar we're already putting in our deck for this, and be really helpful in terms of stopping strategies of opponents' Elestrals. And he's a natural 5, it's great, he doesn't even need Feloy Forest, isn't that wonderful? We also no longer have the Sprout here to search the Scythe, and we have some extra space, so let's go ahead and throw in a couple of Argo and replace one of the Scythes with a Lyre, because new cards are fun, and it's a little more spirit efficient in some situations. Now, behold, the better version of the Mono Earth deck. Just by putting in better, more efficient cards, we were able to stick a whole Werepup engine in here with the extra space we had. Now, you might also be looking at this and go, geez, this list looks oddly familiar. It looks oddly familiar because it's almost exactly the Trishula list, except with the wind engine he was on with the pigs and Hurricane, replaced with an Earth Nexus engine. Now I know you might be thinking, In hindsight, it's easy to reverse engineer your way towards a top deck. I built the updated version before I saw Trishula's deck, because the whole point of taking Mono Earth to the Premier was to prove that this triangle is the core foundational truth of deck building in Elestrals. Now let me be crystal clear. The point of this video is not to tell you you need to play the Trish deck plus or minus 5 cards. It just turns out that if you jam every good card that is the most optimal version of what it does, you end up with decks that look kind of similar. The point of this video is that if I can go 4-3 by following these principles with Mono Earth, I am sure you can go 4-3 if not 5-2 or better by building a deck with some flavor that you love and keeping in mind what it needs to accomplish. You don't need to overcook. You don't need a super crazy, out of this world wombo combo for your deck to perform well. You just need to do 3 things very well, efficiently, turn after turn. I hope this deck building video has been helpful for you, and I hope you go out and have some wonderful time playing some clashes and casting your heart out. I hope to see you in the next video. If you enjoyed this one, subscribe! Maybe I'll crash out in front of a green screen a few more times if you do. See you around.